Well, hi everybody. Welcome to Gig. I'm your host, Mike Redman. Whether you're trying to license your music or somebody else is trying to license your music, music rights is something that every musician, publishing company, or record company needs to understand. Today I have a music specialist to join me. Suzanne Coffman and her company Rightz, well that's with a Z, clears music for everything from live events to TV shows, films, and everything in between. This is an episode that everybody in the music business should listen to. Suzanne gives us a great overview of some of the basics of music licensing, why you should care about it, and how to get started. Music licensing isn't sexy, but if you're serious about wanting to place your music in film or TV, it's something you need to have at least a basic understanding of. Suzanne is very pleasant and a great communicator. It's my pleasure to welcome her to Gig today. So let's jump right in. Well, hi Suzanne, it's so nice to see you.
You too, Mike. It's great to meet you in person.
Wow. Yeah, I have to start this out with a shout out to Maddie Madsen, Current Music, for introducing us. She says you are absolutely the best.
Well, I feel the exact same way about Maddie and her team. She is 100% my go-to source. I'm looking for original works. I'm looking for existing works. She's an amazing songwriter, musician. Just her business acumen is amazing. So she is my first choice where I seek music as well. So
awesome. Yeah, she's kind of this perfect mix of serious business, playfulness, talent. You know, all of those things 100%. Kind of mixed together. So let's start with this. What's the best part of your job as a music clearance specialist?
Oh, without a doubt, it's the people I get to work with. I work with the most amazing licensors, record labels, attorneys, music publishers, and really they're more than just people I do deals with. I mean, these are people that I hang out with socially. It's absolutely the people. That's your friend. They turn into your friend group, right? 100%. Yeah. Absolutely. Baby showers, afternoon, shopping, going to the spa together, weekend barbecue, 100%.
Would you say that when you have a family like that, that's kind of that you work with for a long time, that a big piece of it is trust. They trust you because you're professional. They just know you're going to get their job done, so they never even think about it, and they keep coming back and back.
That's crucial. That's crucial in my job. It's crucial for anybody who does this kind of work. People have to know that when you present a deal or you're negotiating a deal or you're sharing specifics about it, that you're being honest, that you're being very forthcoming. Trust is everything. And it's a small industry. If you lose trust or people lose trust in you, you may as well hang it up. Trust is everything.
So we'll probably jump around here, but oh well, that's what we do when we talk, right? Let's start off with, would you explain to our listeners what a music clearance specialist actually does and why it's important in the industry?
Sure. So what we do is sometimes we're asked to music supervise, which is much more creative. But if we're coming from the standpoint of a clearance agent, specialist, for starters, the reason it's so important is that you cannot use music in any production, a film, television, ad, online, socials, digital, anything, without a formal license agreement being in place. And that's where people like myself come into play. We are essentially like almost the gatekeepers. Like, people come to us, they know that they put their trust in us to be able to present a project properly, to music licensors, the labels and the publishers and managers, attorneys, so on and so forth, to be able to really represent our clients' projects in such a way that we get the licensors excited about it. We want them to say, all right, let's hash out the licensing terms and let's figure out the fees. But at the end of the day, we're tasked with presenting a project, presenting music, requesting music, working out a deal that's favorable for everybody. And important because you can't use music without people like us if you don't know how to do it yourself.
I'm going to jump to a question I was going to ask you later because it's something I think that's really important. A lot of independent filmmakers seem to think that they don't need a clearance or a license for their music would you tell them why they're wrong and and maybe give them some guidance if they're on a limited budget?
Absolutely. Yeah, they're absolutely wrong. And I know that people try to do that and they figure, it's just easier to ask for forgiveness than to get a denial up front. But really, it sets a person up in the wrong way within the industry as well, even just for future opportunities and projects. For example, all of the major film festivals will require proof that you have actually obtained all your music clearances. You can't get into a Sunset or a South by and just be like, here's my film and it's filled with music and well, I didn't clear anything. That's gonna be a prerequisite. Do you have your music clearances in place? You have licenses? And on top of that, is the opportunity. I mean, everybody goes to these festivals and, these independent filmmakers going these routes with the hope that they're going to be able to land a deal, whether it's on a streaming platform. And one of the first questions is going to be, great film, lots of great music. Did you clear it?
Yeah.
So
right.
Nobody wants to be in front of somebody and have to say, actually, no, I didn't. And none of it's cleared. Not a good look. And so what I would suggest that people who have a very limited budget is to still clear it. And what they can do is just right out the gate, even if they clear it for very specific film festival rights, every licensor out there would be happy to give a very short term. It'd be like an unlimited worldwide film festival for 1 year. That's pretty standard. And, you can negotiate the fees on that. I mean, nobody's going to give it to you gratis. Nobody's going to give it to you for $200. But can you get something, for several $100s, thousand per side type of thing? Yes. That at least is going to, for a few $100, a few $1,000s per song, you're going to be able to get your music out there in your film and hope that something bigger happens with it. So I always recommend, if you've got a tiny budget, if you're not using original music, just at least get minimal film festival rights.
That's great advice, because I'm pretty familiar with, I'm sure you are, with everything that the Tedescos went through with the Wrecking Crew. Even though they thought, everybody's just going to give us the music because, it's hype, they should, because, they love the people that made this music, and it took years to get the money to actually get that all together. So trying to get it up front is just it stops a lot of headaches, keeps you out of maybe court, who knows. So would you consider yourself more of a creative or an administrator?
I would consider myself more of an administrator. Okay. And a lot of that is I'm highly creative when it comes to knowing music and picking, choosing music and knowing exactly, the right points and how to drive a point through on something. But I actually I'm very methodic. I'm very organized. I absolutely love the process of starting a project and the entire A to Z, from the research to dealing with people to speaking about a deal. I actually derive a lot of pleasure from that. So I do both. I know that I do both exceptionally well, but I feel extremely comfortable in an administrative position. I really do. It's
cool. No, I totally get it. That's awesome.
Yeah, so, it's not as sexy as being fully creative, but
I think that you're creative. You have to be, and I know people laugh at this, but you have to be creative to do what you do. You're creatively putting together deals that will somehow didn't look like they'll work, and you make them work. So you don't ask a musician to do that, if you know what I mean. What kind of person or characteristics do you look for, because you are an entrepreneur, you have your own music company? Yeah. Do you look for somebody, if you were going to hire them as your business grows, so that you're making the right kind of hire?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really looking for, and this has been the case with everybody I've brought onto the team. I'm really looking for somebody who fits really well with the existing team. The biggest thing for me is, like, I can teach somebody how to do music clearance. I can teach somebody I can make the introductions of who they need to go to get those deals done. I can do all that with my eyes closed and my hands tied behind my back. I can do it day in, day out. What I look for in somebody is really somebody that I know that I can really, really trust with my clients, and I can really, really trust to properly represent our company when they're doing their deals. I want somebody that I don't have to, that's what it is. I want somebody that really knows how to properly represent the company, and who's highly organized. Again, I can teach anybody how to do music clearance and music licensing. But it takes a special kind of highly organized person who can juggle many projects and wear many hats, you know. I think the final thing I'd say about that is that the thing that comes up a lot is, because we juggle so many things all at once, it's you work on something and then you get an email or a text message and you have to just stop doing that, immediately be able to answer something else.
Right.
So somebody, I think, who operates in a fast-paced environment and just wants to work in the industry. It's a pretty awesome industry.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, and I'm assuming, excuse me, allergies here in Florida. I'm assuming that it's somebody that has really good social and communication skills, right?
Oh, about 100%. 100%. Because again, what we really do is, this is not a real automated industry. It's not automated in any sense of the word. This is really a very person-to-person industry. All of our deals and relationships, everything is so nuanced. You want somebody that just, you know, blends really well with the people that we do deals with, you know. Like, it goes back to what you said before, which is trust. And that's just relationships. It's all relationship driven.
That's cool. That's what makes for a good career and a good life, I think. Do you go out to clubs and listen to music?
Only if I'm invited at this point. And then I happily do. I joined a very, very good friend of mine. She's one of my dearest and oldest friends. We started out as colleagues. Her name is Abby Lynn, and she's a VP over at Sony Music Sync Shop. And she had reached out and she's like, hey, let's go grab dinner. And there's this amazing new artist of ours, Paul Russell. And he's got a really fun, intimate gig at El Cid, which is off Sunset in Hollywood.
Great club,
And she's like, you want to come out? And I was like, oh, absolutely. I heard about Paul, and he had such a fun song at that time, Little Boo Thing. And for me, I was like, yeah. So when I'm invited, and I'm invited a lot, I will absolutely go to concerts all the time. So I'm not necessarily going out creatively as much as I'm going out to listen to really great music, think of be able to find new artists and see to be able to hopefully license their music. But yeah,
that's
Paul,
cool. So speaking of find new artists, have you ever actually discovered somebody?
No, and I wish that I had. Although I was at a showcase up in the Bay Area recently, and I was blown away by this band, and the lead singer of it, in fact, she I was like, I just turned to her and I said, wow, I said, you feel so much like I'm listening to like Margot Timmons of Cowboy Junkie, Junkie, who were one of my faves in the 90s. And you know, I didn't leave. It was nothing more than that, other than I was like, I bet something's going to happen here. So, but no, I wish that I had them.
Yeah. I mean, it's that would be an amazing thing. I read that you worked on the 29th Annual Critics' Choice Awards. And I've kind of always wondered, I mean, because I've done some music clearance myself in the past. I'm one of those guys that's done a whole lot of things, but not that great, but just, I've done all of them. But I wanted to ask you, what's the difference between like clearing all the music that's in an award show as opposed to somebody that comes to you with an episode of a series, for example?
Really different.
Really?
That's a great question. Yeah, really different. Because when you're working on an award show, and we work on a lot of different award shows, when you're working on an award show, the music that you're clearing is very specific and tied to like nominations, right? if a song is nominated, or if there's like a song category, maybe it's like best song or best, best a song in XYZ, you have to make sure that you're getting the song that's specific for that nomination, because as those nominations are read, you want to be able to hear, a little bit of that song. So that's the difference. When you're working on award shows, it's much more tied to nominations or segments or packages that are being put through, and music to support that. Whereas when you're working on a film or a television show, there's much more of a creative element to it. It's not to say that a director or the writer hasn't themselves come up with a song that they absolutely must have for that particular scene. There's just much more of an ability to more creatively think about how different music works within the context of that particular scene, as opposed to we need to get it because it's tied to a nominee.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and it sounds kind of complicated, but I'm sure, like you said, I can do it with my hands, but tie it behind my back. So, at your level, most labels and publishers, et cetera, they're professionals, and you typically, they're pretty easy to work with, like you said.
Yes.
But tell me a story about a time when you worked on a project. Don't mention the project, but when it wasn't easy, when your job wasn't.
I worked on a project. It was very early on in my career, and I was working with a very well-known director. And he wanted a specific title for it was for In Title. And it was, the song that he wanted was from a recording artist who rarely ever licenses music for any film or television projects. And it really was a difficult thing. And the reason that it came together really wasn't anything that I did. It was, I participated in getting all of the players involved. And I remember there was no Zoom or anything like that then. So this was, like a call-in conference call with the director, with the writer, with this recording artist, who again would be one of like my all-time legends. And we talked through everything and walked away with the artist doing the director like a huge solid. That was a scary moment because I knew, again, I was really young, but I felt like if I can't, at least if this fails, this is not a good look. This is going to be really bad for me. And again, the two guys came together, and there was like the simpatico, like a kumbaya moment, and it happened. And I can't take any credit for that, but it was a very scary moment for me in a very early on in my career that I knew was a huge thing that had to happen.
Yeah,
and it did.
Yeah, it did. Perfect. This is something, back when I was, my company, I had a film company, an interactive company. We were doing a lot of Disney, and I was composing for them and Universal and stuff. And we were always clearing music. But at that time, we were clearing it for either, maybe it was for advertising, a 13-week run with da-da-da-da-da and this many versions in these countries. And now we have every kind of media that there is. So far, social and every type of way to consume media. And is that covered in worldwide blanket everything licenses, or how does that work today? Because it sure is different than 10 years ago.
Yeah. So, and it is. The thing now that is more often than not, there are really the two broadest asks nowadays are going to be, an all media now known, hereafter devised, worldwide perp. And that's going to encompass everything that we do know now, or may occur or be created in the future. And of course, you're going to pay top dollar for those very broad rights. And then just under that, when people don't think that there's an opportunity, or it's not even on the in the cards for like a real theatrical release. And by theatrical, I mean more of a traditional, like going to a movie theater, multiplex kind of a thing, not necessarily a quote unquote film that is on Amazon or Apple or Netflix or so on. And then in those cases, you'd be going out for an all media, now known, hereafter devised, excluding theatric, worldwide. So you can kind of do different carve outs. There are also deals that one can do that if somebody's like, we don't need any of the traditional stuff. We're just looking at streaming. You can just do deals now that are very broad that would cover every type of streaming known now or that could potentially be 20 years from now. So there's just a lot of creativity that goes into how you can kind of structure these deals. But I agree with you. I mean, back then it was literally like, even when I first started, it was you'd get film or TV and video cassette rights, video and performance. They were like laid out, like
and that's very simple. With check boxes,
check boxes. Yeah. It's just not like that anymore.
I like the. That sounds like actually a very good solution. What are some of the common obstacles that you face when clearing music? And I'll give you a quick little example that I had because I was with the biggest music company in the world today, but we don't mention any names here. And I was clearing a song by the Four Tops, and I called them, and it felt like and didn't feel like it. I know they did. Just reached up in the air and picked out this really big number and said, it's going to cost you this, because my customer was also a big name. And I mean, how do you deal with, or do you deal with things like that in your business?
Absolutely. And again, the bigger, the more prominent a use. I mean, a good way of looking at it is this: if a song is in any way going to be promoting a product, a brand, anything like that. I think a lot of licensors look at it this way. We don't need your brand they're not doing us any favors. Our song is doing them a favor.
Yes.
And so really the music licensors are in the driver's seat. There's no doubt about it. And I think that sometimes it is a matter of picking a number out of the sky. And then it's just really, that's where I think good clearance people or, good people just know how to, okay, so that's the first number that comes in. And then you start doing, how do you whittle it down? Do you, is there exclusivity involved? Is there, be modifications to the deal? How can we massage this so that we can get that number more in line with where our client has budgeted? And then again, also keep in mind too, you can have a licensor that's going to say, listen, the last time we did this deal, this is what it got. Everybody pays it, and take it or leave it. But I do think that, like something I like to do, I don't do it all the time, but I also like to, once I've established what a fee is or where I need to come in a budget, I will at the very least propose a fee. Doesn't mean a licensor is going to take it, but I believe that it helps to set an expectation. Like I don't want for somebody, if I know my budget's $20,000 or let's say it's $10,000, I don't want somebody quoting $80,000. Like, and I've got a lot. There's a lot to work in there to. So yeah. Sometimes it's just pulling that number out, and sometimes it's based on the deal that was done 6 months before with that very same song and a similar use, and they got it and it was licensed. So why not try the higher number?
Sure. That's what you're. One of the things I hear you saying, which is actually you didn't say it, but it's another reason why people would hire you, because they want somebody with experience that knows how to work the system, that knows what things are going for, that can make a case in their negotiation. Thank you for that. That's cool. So, if I was looking for placements, which I'm not, should I include your company on my list?
Oh my gosh, 100%, because we do need supervision. And so we are always working on projects where we're actually responsible for sourcing music and pitching music. We do both. Sometimes we're tasked with just clearing it, and sometimes, so we love getting new music in, because if there's a use for it, if we know for one of our projects, or if we know of a project that a friend or a colleague is working on and they're looking for somebody or a specific type of a song, I love to be able to make referrals that way as well. So
that's 100%.
Awesome. Yeah. Always open to that.
Since you said yes, what would be the best format or way to be in touch with your company that's respectful and professional?
People can absolutely reach out to me via email. If you want me to say that out loud, or even my company website.
Yeah.
But the truth is that if somebody even just like, I like to see metadata. If somebody has like a disco page that they're maintaining, and maybe if they don't have disco page, that's okay too,
Yeah.
right? But if they have like, two or three different songs they're really especially excited about and proud of, and if they can come and say, here's what it is, it's in the vein of, it sounds like, here's some metadata, it works well, it's, and then more importantly, I own the music, like I'm the only writer, or I've got some
Yeah.
co-writers, but we're all on board. Like one stop, if you use this or license it, you can come to us, we can approve it. You don't have to go to 50 different people to get the approval. So to
Right.
include, and that's not just for me.
Sure.
That's not just for me, Michael. That's going to be for anybody that's pitching. Is they should be thoughtful so that make it as easy for the person on the other end to get that, so that they know like this is easier to clear. All the information's here, and it's easy for me to be able to absorb that into however whether you throw it into Apple Music or however you manage your own, maybe your own disco page. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's very nice of you, first of all. I have a lot of music supervisor friends. Some of them say, you know what, to be honest with you, I use about 8 suppliers because I just don't have time. And then but I do get it. I totally get it. And then there are people, I have about 5 different groups on LinkedIn, for various things I've been doing through the years. And I just keep getting all these people that say, hey, here's my track, listen. And one of the things that you said, which I think is super important, is don't make Suzanne do the work. Send her something, tell her where you think it might fit, that it is clear, give her the information she needs. So when she's listening to it, she knows that, there is a use, or maybe I'll just put it aside and listen to it a different time. Are you ready for a little rapid fire?
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, let's go. Okay. Can somebody financially make a pretty good living in the music clearance world?
They can, yes. The key is to get aligned with larger clients who pay their bills on time and who use you steadily. So it's absolutely possible, but people can level up as soon as they lock down or start working with a company that uses them very consistently. If you do a great job for somebody, they will. They won't look outside of that. So yes, but aligning or trying to work with bigger companies because they always pay their bills.
I like that. They pay their bills. Favorite band of all time?
The Cars.
I love it.
Yeah,
My Sharona. Wasn't that My Sharona? Yeah.
No, that's the Zach. No.
Oh no. Sorry. What was their big? What was one of their big songs?
Moving in Stereo.
Okay.
Needed. Benjamin Ward, the most melodic, beautiful voice, in my opinion. But I also love Jeff Buckley, Jayhawks, huge. I have a lot. I mean, I find Van Morrison's craggy voice to be one of the most beautiful voices out there.
That's who people have told me I sound like when I sing. Okay. So people, I thought they just said, Mike, you sound old. Okay, a company, producer, director that you've kind of always secretly wanted to work with and you haven't yet.
I haven't yet. Well, if we had done this call 6 months ago,
6 months.
Okay, 6 months ago, we're doing this. We're doing this interview right now. I would say I've always wanted to work with Hello Sunshine and Reese Witherspoon, and I am now working with Hello Sunshine. I have not met, nor do I expect I'm going to be able to meet Reese. But I'm excited to be working with the companies he's associated with. So that is something that for some time I'd always wanted to. And so that's a recent development for me, and I'm super excited about it.
Well, congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, how about hobby outside of the music business?
Easy. I love photography. I have a bridge camera, which is kind of like between a DSLR and like a little like point and click. And I love just going out and exploring and taking photographs. And I recently got into doing lino, like block printing, which I love. So,
that's fun. I think the reason I asked you that is I think it's so important to have something that is outside what you do for your profession, even if you love your profession, Last one, best project you've ever worked on. Ooh.
Well, it's the best because I got a Grammy nomination for it this year. I did not win, Barbie did, but yeah, thank you. So I would have to say that the best and probably the most fun project I worked on was being involved, music supervising Weird, the Al Yankovic story. Working with the team at Funny or Die, who have been doing work with them for some time now, and working with Al in particular. I mean, without a doubt. I mean, it led to a Grammy nomination for,
That's cool.
for soundtrack. So I'm very grateful. I'm very, very grateful. Never expected that to ever happen. So I will, until my last breath, be able to, all thanks to that movie. That's
awesome. I've been told, I've told this to many people because it was told to me. It said, it's kind of expect good things because those people that work hard enough get lucky.
100%. 100%. You don't have to be the biggest at school. You don't have to have a lot of money. You just have to really be an honest, hardworking, very humble person. Great things can happen. Doesn't matter. You can do it. Anybody can.
That's cool. Something I have to ask because it seems to be in the news every day, and I'm trying to invest in it, but I can't figure out how to safely do it. AI. 5 years from now, they probably won't be talking about it. But what do you see it doing to the music supervision and/or clearance world?
It's. I think that there's a lot of concern. I think that AI, from a creative standpoint, I think it's actually, as long as, legally record labels and music publishers are on board, and as long as things aren't being done where music is being taken away from the original content owners and creators, I think that there's going to be a lot of benefit, because I think there will be an opportunity for licensors to essentially tap into additional assets for their companies. It's an AI version of an existing song, and as long as it's been legally authorized and sanctioned, it could potentially, be a great additional asset for that company, right? Again, as long as it's officially licensed and sanctioned. And I think AI plays a part there. As far as music supervision and music clearance is concerned, I really believe that the success to our business, in every capacity, it's the personal connections. And so I think that there can always be, there can be tech to help elevate the process of moving people around a little bit. But I don't think AI is ever going to get into the place of the deals that people do with the people that they count on and trust. I'd much rather have a conversation with somebody and be able to work a deal through than just get something sent over to me and I check a box. I think it misses the whole point of what we do and how we get deals done.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. It's a people business, and I think that probably you will see, tools. That's like a composer friend of mine says, well, right now, it's just tools. And he says, I have a tool right now that can change the singing voice. And he says, I can hit a button and it's Ricky Martin, or I can hit a button and it's Michael Jackson. He says, and it is almost imperceivable. Because, of course, he said, I can't use it for anything.
Right, and that is the key, and those are, even just what you kind of touched upon, are some of the things that my company is involved with, doing some things that I won't get into, but there's no doubt about it. Again, it's always going to be about the legal, being able to. It's out there, and if there's a way to make it possible for those things to not, to be made available legally, authorized, it's a win-win.
So one last question. I ask most people this, and it's if I was listening to this and I thought, I just love what Suzanne does, and I want to start really kind of getting into that business. What should I be doing to prepare myself, and possibly what would I do to get my foot in the door?
So I know that there are a lot of two things. I know that there are a lot of music business courses now that colleges are offering, which I think is really, really wonderful. And
I do
even if
too.
a person, yeah, they're really great, and they're happening on different coasts, and just there's just a lot of really great programs around where even for like undergraduate programs. But even if a person, let's say that maybe they don't have the wherewithal or the interest to even go through a program like that, first top of mind for me is always going to be like UCLA Extension. They have
Hmm.
wonderful, and a lot of my colleagues, lead those discussions and
Oh,
classes.
really? Hmm.
Absolutely. In fact, I'm very excited. One of my colleagues, Ryan Coffman, he is going to be doing some coursework through UCLA Extension within music supervising and music, and he is my colleague over at Fox. And I mean, listen, when I first got started in the industry, I went through that as
Hmm.
well.
Yeah.
It was something my employer was like, if you want to do this, we'll pay for it. And
Oh,
I was,
cool.
I was working in music publishing at the time, and I was like, yeah. And so, but let's assume that maybe those types of avenues are not
Hmm.
really an option for somebody. I would say that it is really um, getting involved with like networking groups, getting just trying to reach out to. I've had so many people that just kind of reach out and will reach out and ask if they can meet me for coffee or if I can do a
Hmm.
Zoom with them. And I may not be able to give them all the time in the world, but I'm going to absolutely try to carve out a little bit of time
Hmm.
to answer some questions. So if you see a music supervisor and you love their work, try to track down an email, and just, even if it's anything more, find out, read up on those types of
Hmm.
things. And I also think that in addition to trying to make connections and networking opportunities, there's even something, the Guild of Music Supervisors, which I'm a member of, but they even offer a membership level that you don't even have to be a music supervisor, but more a friend.
Oh,
I know that there's
interesting.
still some things you still have to check some
Sure.
boxes to do that as well, but just to look out for different, even on social media, there's just a lot of different groups.
Uh-huh.
And I think that even if you just try to join some of these groups and just try to see the conversations that are happening, you can learn a lot there. You can just kind of be like a silent observer of what people are saying and people are
Yeah.
doing, and just take it all in.
Yeah, part of those. Yeah, I mean, that's gonna. If you were to do that too, I think people. There's a lot of folks out there. They don't really know how to network, but if you do some of the things you're talking about, you will be networking. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
And again, it's sometimes it's not even, a person doesn't even have to like comment as much as just kind of sit there,
Hmm.
because the conversations I see in some of the groups that even I belong to
Hmm.
in social media, it's like you'll see people who will say, I'm trying to track this song down. I can't figure it out. Does anybody know who to go to? Or I'm missing this piece, or does anybody know somebody at such and such?
Right.
And it's a community where people are kind of helping each other,
Yeah,
right?
it really
And
sounds nice. Actually, it sounds very nice.
does. I think
Yeah.
that we all want to see there's plenty of work out there. There's a lot of great companies. There's a lot of great projects to work on. And with the explosion in AI and the explosion and just streaming,
Yes.
there's a lot of work out there. If you're good, you have to
Yeah.
be good, you have to be honest, and because credibility and honesty is everything in our industry, because it's a
Hmm.
small industry. But I hope that people don't get discouraged thinking like, oh, I could never do that, or it's
Hmm.
impossible. Um, every person that ever starts out at one point or another thought that, and then they have these opportunities,
Yeah.
internships. There's a lot.
Right.
So just to not be afraid to kind of put themselves out there, to see if somebody will maybe give them 5 or 10 minutes over a phone call or meet for
I did
coffee.
that. I did that over and over. I just and yeah, I have so many people on my mentor and thank you list. It's it's kind of a book. Thank you for taking the time for me today. I'll be back in touch soon, and I hope we get to talk again.
Oh, I would love that, Michael.
Yeah.
Really, thank you. This has totally been my pleasure. I love this, and I really
Okay.
appreciate you reaching out. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you so
Maddie.
much. Bye bye.
All right. Bye bye.